Finally, we've reached Black Ops 3. This 2015 installment of Zombies is one that is very important to me, as this was a Zombies that grabbed me from the first trailer. Built from the ground up by Jason Blundell with his vision in full swing in this grand adventure to collect the souls of the ultimate versions of our characters, and for as sad as the events in this outing were, it was a lot of fun. The maps were phenomenal, the developers were crushing every single thing that they touched, and the community, well, it was my home. I don't think I've ever been so engrossed in being a part of a community quite like Black Ops 3 Zombies. And as a parting note for this introduction, can I just say thank you, Treyarch, each and every one of you for what you did here. And for the content creators, thank you for always filling my feed with such great content with BO3 allowing for that. These maps, in my opinion, are all great and have a really tight spread on quality, so these changes for some entries will be more nitpicky than anything shown in the series prior, but we'll get into it. But with that out of the way, let's kick things off with a jazz-filled bang. Shadows of Evil. The launch map of this game is masterfully crafted with every detail well thought out. The fictional locale of Morgue City is full of fantastic features, highly memorable characters, and at the end of the day, incredibly fun gameplay. I was excited for this map since the revealed trailer, and it didn't disappoint, rising through my rankings and managing to dethrone Origins as my all-time favorite map. But with that being said, let's see what we can do to help this map out a little bit. The Apothecant Servant. This is the best wonder weapon in Zombies history by a long shot. So you may be wondering what my issue with it is. Well, it's really simple. The fact that it isn't upgradable bothers me. And then the way they incorporated its upgrade into Revelations at the end of Black Ops 3 feels lazy and unearned. And why would they ever incorporate an upgrade for this weapon and not have it happen in Shadows of Evil? It's this map's weapon. It should be upgradable here. This could mean something as basic as putting it into the Pack-a-Punch machine just like any other gun, or having a proper quest to evolve this weapon into its upgraded form, such as requiring a certain amount of regular zombie kills, parasite kills, and meatball kills. After absorbing enough of each of these enemy types, the weapon would evolve into its upgraded version. The Shield. The Shadows of Evil rocket shield is very basic by our current standards, but at the time this changed everything that we thought a zombie shield could even be. They even introduced the idea of upgrading this shield, but they did it in the worst way possible. By making you play bowling with shield charges, killing 10 zombies with each pass, not just a few times, but for a total of 10 times in a row, i.e. a perfect game of bowling. And this also is not a permanent upgrade in a given match, it is per shield. That is absolutely insane to ask players to do this quest at all at that point. My change here will be giving the shield a proper method of upgrading it and making it last the entire match, as well as count for all players that pick up the shield. The upgrade would be simply greatly improving its overall health and giving it more charges for the dash, also potentially making it go further and faster with each dash. Trip mines. Let me just say this now. These things should have never been in the game. They aren't effective and they don't look cool either. Well, I can't help the design here, but I can help them out a little bit more in the effectiveness department. There is an upgrade quest for these involving getting kills with trip mines whilst beside these food carts that are scattered around the map. But these don't become effective enough and in the end wind up feeling like the current rendition of the shield upgrade where too much work goes into it for not enough output. I like the current upgrade quest, but I don't feel like the reward justifies the work. So by upping their damage and making it to where you can carry much more than 2 mines at a time, I think this would make it an upgrade quest that's actually worth doing each time you play the map. Dreisendrach. Sitting high in the Austrian mountains is Griffin Castle, and the map location for this outing. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it now, but this is by far the best first DLC for zombies we've ever seen. Featuring the cousins of the Origin staffs in the form of 4 elemental bows, the Ragnarok DG4 specialist weapon, and the return of the iconic Panzer Soldat with some new tools. In a very easy to understand map layout, Dreisendrache cements itself as one of the best. But let's get into the heart of the Iron Dragon and see what changes we can make. The bows. Here comes a familiar point if you've watched our BO2 changes video, specifically the Origins section. The bows that are featured on this map do have the same issues as the staffs. They have unequal quests to obtain and disproportionate powers, where something like the Storm Bow is incredibly fast and easy to obtain and is majorly effective, while something like the Fire Bow is not a quick thing to get done for most players, and they're rewarded with the worst bow on the map. For this map and all future maps with 4 variations of a wonder weapon, all quests should be similar in time and ability to complete, and more importantly, they should feel roughly as powerful as any of their other counterparts. The Shield. There's a couple repeat offenders on this list. The Shield is definitely one of them. As we had come to expect different shields in different outings, even if they were merely cosmetic differences in Black Ops 2, but this shield is the exact same rocket shield that we had on Shadows of Evil, such as a shield featuring an electroshock attack similar to the ones the Panzer fires in this map. I mean, there were so many elements that they could have drawn on throughout different regions of the map to make an incredible shield. Elemental zombies. These special zombies are kind of a nuisance overall, while they have no more health than a regular zombie and they are fairly rare to interact with. But when you do manage to come across one and they disrupt your vision, it can happen on rounds where the panzer's already trying to shock your eyes out of your sockets. This is an incredibly bad idea. It can lead to just disorientation after disorientation, and that is not fun for gameplay overall. I say just get rid of this and let's move on to DLC 2. Zetsubo no Shima. Deep in the heart of a Japanese swamp island featuring human experimentation and twisted flora. This is a map that I admit I have mixed feelings about. I do enjoy playing the map. I really like a lot of the systems that play into this map. The wonder weapon is cool and fun to use, and I could go on and on. My only real issue with this map is how it was marketed to us as this return to horror direction of COD Zombies. And let me say, I don't need the game to be scary. I really don't think COD Zombies was ever super far into the horror realm. But when you market a map with the prospect of horror being the main selling point and then you don't deliver that, I just feel let down. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what we would change in this Shadow of Division 9 facility. KT-4. This is a weapon that I feel is largely underrated by the zombies community. The KT-4 and its upgrade are extremely lethal zombie killing tools as long as you're using it more proactively rather than reactively. Really, there's only one major issue with this gun, and that is it has no effect on the Thrashers. I don't think that it's too much to ask that at least the upgraded version of this gun should be able to kill the Thrashers, because when I try running them through puddles, it seems to do absolutely nothing. Also, as a side point here, upgrading the KT-4 to the Masamune is literally impossible in a public match as it requires all players finishing all of their challenges. This could be changed, making it to where 3 total challenges from any pillar have to be completed. This would make the upgrade easier to access in co-op, and in solo it would remain unchanged in the number of challenges. This would allow for more flexibility in runs for the map, and I don't think anyone would really fight me on this. The last point here I could sneak in would be just the wonder weapon as a whole doesn't seem to have a whole lot of ammo, but at the same time you don't really need a whole lot. But if you wanted to argue that it needs more ammo, I would be completely willing to admit that. Bowie knife. One near constant of zombies is the presence of upgrades for your melee attacks, whether it be the Galvanuckles or the Golden Spork on Mob of the Dead, or in this case the iconic Bowie knife. One small detail that sadly has been lost to the ages, it seems, is the retheming of the Bowie knife to have it appear differently but perform the same across different maps. And this is just a design decision that adds just a little extra small detail that for me goes a long way. Ascension did it by turning it into a sickle, and why not have this map have a machete instead? While a machete is already a cool idea for a zombies map to have as a weapon, which would go with the idea of this thick overrun jungle space by being what the troops would have used to help clear paths on the island before the outbreak. Also, as a side note, the fact that we couldn't obtain Takio's katana in this map is still a huge missed opportunity for me. Like, have it be a reward for doing the Easter egg where after killing Takio, you go to some area on the map where prisoner belongings were stored, and then retrieve it for use throughout the rest of your game. Plants. Listen, I don't hate the plant system in Zetsubo in theory. I mean, come on, I'm a huge Plants vs. Zombie fan. There are some cool rewards for those willing to put in the time, such as creating a safeguard in the form of a clone or a free perk plant, or even a crawler babysitting tool. I feel like there's 2 major things wrong with it. There shouldn't be any recipes that absolutely require the use of the Wonder Weap's ammo when it already has a fairly low pool. This should be optional to accelerate growth, but not required. The fact that a round can change before you get back over to the spot will kill your plant is dumb. I think it should allow for some time between waterings and only wither after a couple rounds with no water at all. Gorod Krovi, the Eastern Front of World War II Stalingrad, featuring an alternate version of the real-world history of this battle while keeping the amount of bloodshed accurate. This was the last stop before the finale of Black Ops 3, and let's see how we can help out our Russian friend and make his mech shine a little bit more than it already does. The Ray Gun Mark III. The Ray Gun Mark III is by far the most unique ray gun out of the 3. And yes, I said 3. There are only 3 ray guns, do you understand? I'm glad we understand. Those Wish.com ray gun knockoffs from Alpha Omega do not count. This Mark III with the dual wield of one slowing orb shot and the other being a single shot variant of the Mark II's fire is incredibly cool. Alone, this already sets it apart from its predecessors, but combining them will result in a black hole similar to a Gersh or Apothecan's Servant shot. But this damage falls off unlike these similar tools. Upping the damage of this gun across the board would be a good change, especially for the black hole shot. This being the map's only wonder weapon, it's a shame it doesn't carry you into higher rounds. PPSH. This fan favorite weapon came back to a resounding fanfare from the entire community. What was the unofficial wonder weapon of World at War was finally back, but it felt less than impressive. Like, it's good, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be. They really needed to put this weapon back where it was, if not make it even stronger, because I would argue it's less effective than the Dingo or the BRM for that matter. Upping the damage and ammo pool in this weapon would be a really good call. Just let the weapon be iconic, and that's awesome. Leave it at that. More room. Gorod is a fairly good sized map, from Dragon Command, the Hatchery, and the Tank Factory. However, I feel like this map could be improved with just a little bit more space to better facilitate co-op play. As in a 4-person match, this map can start to feel slightly claustrophobic at times. Just broadening a few areas, such as making the spawn room a little bit more spacious, I think would go a really long way for 4-player play. Revelations. Here we are. The ending of BO3, Agartha. The culmination of everything that came before it in the storyline, and overall love letter to the zombies community. As many people seem to forget, a map combining a bunch of previous maps was in high demands from a lot of players in the community. So on paper it should be good, and for the most part it is. But to me, while this is a good map overall, it is a misstep for the finale of the game as a whole. But with our last map introduction complete, sadly close the book of BO3 Zombies. Dreisendrach Part 2. Like I said, piecing together old zombie maps was a welcomed idea generally speaking. But why did we have to get a section from the map that just kicked off this game's DLC season? When there are so many maps that could have been chosen, why this? So many other maps are more deserving of using this space. Not to say Dreisendrach is a bad map, but there are old maps that should have been highlighted here to bring them back into new players' eyes. Because not only is this a section in the map, it's a massive section in the map. Maps like Call of the Dead, Moon, I mean even parts of Transit could have made the cut here. It just feels odd and underwhelming when it's a repeat of a map in the same game that debuted it, when other maps can't be represented here, or it's a single hallway like the supposed buried section of the map, which I don't even know if it's 100% buried. I just assume that it is. Elemental Margwas. The boss zombie this time around is a Margwa from Shadow's Wheel with a twist. Elemental variants. I know, it's a big surprise to see elemental stuff show back up, but here we are. With a fire and void variant stomping around the place, it should be an interesting time, except these guys don't feel quite unique enough to justify them being here. The void Margwa is more unique than the fire one, but still, these enemy variants should feel wildly different to spice up gameplay further, making the player wonder which kind is about to come after them on any given round. Specialist weapon. This map really took the green effort of recycling too far by not even coming up with an original specialist weapon for the map, instead opting to reuse the Ragnaroks from Dreisendrach. I can't get away from Dreisendrach, I swear. Why couldn't we have gotten some cool Agarthan or Keeper device or artifact that would actually go with the theme of the map? Maybe some relic that would have worked like a pocket version of the Corruption Engine laser attack. But leave a suggestion for what you think the specialist weapon for this map could be. Comment down below and let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Well, that brings us to the end of our BO3 changes video. If you enjoyed this video, hit like. Next week we move on to Black Ops 4 changes, and let me tell you, you won't want to miss that one. To avoid missing it, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Hey, want to see me before the next video? Come check me out on Twitch at The Real Fighting Line 1, where I play COD Zombies and all kinds of other games. But with that being said, I'll see you around.